Hey all, welcome to my game room. AJ from Rolling with Rock here with the inaugural episode of Rock's Rules. Rock's Rules will be a video series where I go over organizing, upgrading, and house ruling board games. If Rock's Rules sounds interesting to you, make sure you give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel, and share with your friends so that the channel can grow. On today's episode, we're going to be looking at Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle, which is a cooperative deck building game for 2 to 4 players set in the Harry Potter Wizarding World universe. Now, I do want to put out a little bit of a spoiler warning because Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle does have a campaign element to it. When you open up the game, you are given a starting set of components, but there are boxes that are sealed until you advance through the game. And so there will be content talked about in those boxes, both in the base game and the Monster Box of Monsters expansion for Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. So if you have not played this game and you're not looking for spoilers, I thank you for looking at this video. You may not want to have it spoiled. If you don't mind that, or if you've already played Harry Potter, I invite you to go ahead, come along with me, and we'll look at what I do differently with Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. If you're still here after that spoiler warning, I greatly appreciate you sticking around. And as you can see, this is a partial setup of Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. The reason it's only partially set up is some of the house rules that we implement are included in the setup of the game. The first thing you do when you're setting up Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle is pick a character. And this is Neville Longbottom from the box 1 of the expansion Monster Box of Monsters. There are additional cards. You start out with a game 1, and then game 3, you finally get an ability. In game 7, your ability gets better. And in box 1 of the expansion, you get a slightly different ability. Sometimes the abilities are better in the expansion, sometimes they're better from the base game. After picking your character, the next thing you do is, from game 6 on, from the base game, is you can acquire a proficiency. Now, these are excelling at a specific class at Hogwarts. So here we have herbology, charms, arithmancy, care of magical creatures, defense against the dark arts, potions, flying lessons, transfiguration, history of magic, and divination. And they all have a slightly different power. My favorite to include with Neville is if a hero on your turn gains 3 hearts or more, that hero draws a card. So when you're playing with multiple players and it's your turn as Neville, anytime you give another hero or yourself 3 or more hearts, they draw a card. And this goes really well with Neville's power because anytime someone gains hearts on his turn, they may gain an additional heart, so that can trigger that ability even better. So from game 6 on, you're welcome to use both your proficiency and your character ability. But when you get the Monster Box of Monsters expansion, and you get to box 3 of that campaign, you are also unlock Patronuses. Now Patronuses are character specific, whereas the proficiencies any character can use. This non-corporeal Patronus is for Neville. You have the rabbit for Luna, the stag for Harry, the terrier for Ron, and the otter for Hermione. And these all have a separate ability on them. Like for Neville here, he has if a hero gains 3 or more hearts on your turn, that a hero gains 1 attack bolt. So you can see it's similar to the powers of the proficiencies, but slightly different. And the rules state that you can only have 1 proficiency or 1 Patronus. You're not allowed to have both. But that's where our first house rule comes into play. Because when we play Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle nowadays, we usually play in what is called the epic mode from the box 4 of the Monster Box of Monsters expansion, where you play with every villain and every creature in the game and all of the final boss Voldemorts. It is a very long game and can be very difficult. So what we do is we actually allow each character to have a proficiency and a Patronus. So in this case, for Neville Longbottom, he would get the Herbology proficiency and the non-corporal Patronus. So anytime a hero on their turn, on Neville's turn, acquires a heart, they may gain an additional heart. If they get 3 or more, they draw a card and they get a bolt. And we do that for each character. We do have combinations that seem to work very well for us. Another one that we like to do is with Luna. Her Patronus is once per turn you may discard a spell. If you do, you roll the Ravenclaw die. Well, we like to put that with the Arithmancy proficiency, which is cards that let you roll a house die cost you 1 less to acquire, and each time you roll a die, you may choose to re-roll it. So the person who plays as Luna is usually our dice roller for the game, and they are the one controlling all the dice that are very helpful when you're going up against events and Horcruxes that dice are needed for. The next house rule is also part of setup, and that is about the Hogwarts cards and the deck for those. Normally, all of the Hogwarts cards are shuffled together, and you deal 6 out of the deck randomly. This can be very good or very bad depending on the cards you get. If you get all high cards, you're basically out of luck right at the beginning of the game because you're not going to be able to buy anything, and you're never going to be able to build up your deck. So there's actually a rule that I saw on BGG on the Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle page that suggests splitting the decks between cards that cost 1 to 4 coin at the very bottom here. You can see the costs 3, 2, 3, 1, 4. So 1 to 4 coins go in one pile, and then anything 5 and higher, 5, 7, 6, there is an 8 or 2 in here. Anything 5 or higher goes in a second pile. And at the beginning of the game, what you do is flip 4 cards from the 1 to 4 pile out, and flip 2 cards from the 5 plus pile. And this gives you a little bit more of a opportunity to get cards early in the game. You're guaranteed to have a couple of low cards, but if you do get enough coin to buy a high card, they are available to you. And then as you go through the game, you can choose, when you buy a card, do you flip from the 1 to 4 stack or the 5 to 7 stack? And as the game progresses and you're earning more coin, you can flip more of the higher cost cards. The next house rule I want to cover is about the detention cards. These cards come in the Monster Box of Monsters expansion in box 1, and they are cards that take up your deck. They are bad cards, and they are hard to get rid of at times, and if you have to discard it, you lose 2 hearts. But it does take up part of your hand every time you draw up to 5 cards at the beginning of your turn. So it eats away at your deck, and they can be very frustrating. Well, there are cards that allow you to banish cards in your hand. And normally the banish keyword means you take cards and discard them to the box. They're no longer used in that game. Well, when you banish a detention card, it only goes back to the detention deck. So you're never actually getting rid of them. Well, when we play, especially when we play for the epic mode, we play with banishing a card from your hand, a detention card, goes back to the box. So you're not constantly getting detentions. Eventually, if you play your cards right, you can banish all of the cards to the box. And it's very helpful and very relieving to do so when there's so many other things going on in this game. The last house rule I want to cover is also a epic mode variant that we do, and that comes down to when you have defeated a bunch of the villains, almost all of the villains in fact, and you start to reveal the Voldemort cards. There are Voldemort cards for games 5, 6, 7, and box 4 with varying levels of difficulty. You can see the first one starts at only 10 hearts, and the last one is 25 hearts, but it also takes 7 coins, which is roughly 7 turns to defeat that villain. The way we play is, once you reveal the first Voldemort, and they are in play, even if you have more villains down here, once you take the last one off and you reveal them, they're in play, you play that like normal. But once you defeat one of the Voldemorts, which you can't do until all the villains are out of play, once you defeat them, the bottom just says heroes win. You don't actually do that in Epic because you go on to the next Voldemort. But our house rule is that because there's no reward for defeating that villain like there is every other villain in the game, we take all 5 dice. You have the 4 house dice for Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, Gryffindor, and Slytherin, and then you have the monster die. We take all 5 dice and roll them. And then whatever comes up, all heroes get to gain those. And that sounds kind of overpowered, but the biggest thing about house rules is, in my opinion, making games more fun. And this makes it more fun and gives you a little bit of a reward for defeating that Voldemort. So in this case, each player would draw 3 cards, they would gain a heart, gain an attack bolt, and gain a coin. So that's all the house rules that we have for Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle, but we do have 2 small component upgrades that we do for this game as well. And the first one is for the attack bolts. These are the original attack bolts in the game. They are just little paper tokens, and compared to some of the other components in the game, the paper tokens are not my favorite. So at Gen Con this year, in 2019, I actually saw at Broken Token, they had these lightning bolts for King of Tokyo and King of New York. But, as you can see, there's not much, I mean, they're slightly different shape, but very comparable to the Harry Potter lightning bolt. And they're a little bit smaller, so a little bit easier to handle, and they look a lot nicer in my opinion. So we bought 2 packages of those and upgraded the lightning bolts. The other component upgrade we do is for the money. Once again, they have a paper component money, and it is very meh. So I use nice metal coins. Eventually I would love to upgrade to an actual wizarding coin set, but right now this is just a Roman coin set from the game Colosseum that I really enjoy. So those are some of the house rules and upgrades that we've done to Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. Please let me know if you'd be interested in seeing a rock review segment on this game in the comments below. And remember that just because we house rule this game doesn't mean we don't like the intent of the game. I think that Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle is one of the best deck builders out there right now and is very difficult with the intended gameplay. We just do some of these house rules to make the game more fun for us when we play it over and over and over, as we do very often. Well, that's it for my game room. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that video, please consider sharing it on social media with your friends, giving a like, and leaving a comment down below. It really helps the channel grow. For more content like this, please subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Also, check out some of my other videos that are floating around. I think you'll really enjoy them. Until next time. This was Rolling with Rock.